What's up, guys? I'm Nobody Special, and China Evergrande continues to inch closer to official default as they miss a third round of offshore bond payments today. This comes as a whole slew of other developers are forecasting or anticipating missing payments in the near future, or ratings agencies continue to downgrade their debt. This comes despite repeated assurances from the talking heads in the financial press and the propaganda artists at the Chinese Communist Party that there's no contagion risk from the Evergrande story. You ready? Hit it. Thank you for joining me. I'm Jack Gamble, and I'm Nobody Special. And today, China Evergrande missed its third round of offshore bond payments denominated in dollars, and we're now 18 days into the 30-day grace period on the first coupon that it missed on September 23rd. Before we get too much into the details of this story, guys, I have to ask you, could you please hit that big, beautiful like button, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell. It really helps me out, helps me to keep this channel growing, and I'd be forever in your debt. So with that, let's shrink my big fat melon of a head and look at this story. This is in Reuters. China bond markets slump again as new Evergrande deadline passes. Evergrande looks set to miss a third round of bond payments. Some offshore bondholders have not had payment according to sources. Modern Land asks investors to push back their bond payment, and Sinic warns it's likely to default next week. Now, again, I want to highlight this is offshore bondholders have not had payment. We're seeing three recurring themes in the China property housing collapse story. Number one is denial and assurances of no contagion risk by the financial press and by the Chinese state media. Number two is backdoor bailouts, where they're not officially being bailed out by the government, but either local governments are doing something or these state-owned enterprises are buying up assets at bloated prices. And the third theme is that offshore bondholders, i.e. foreign owners of debt in these companies, are getting screwed. And those trends continue with this story. Chinese property firms' bonds were hit with another wrecking ball on Monday as Evergrande looks set to miss its third round of bond payments in as many weeks, and rivals Modern Land and Sinic become the latest scrambling to delay deadlines. Remember, Sinic was that company that was about 2 weeks ago had a very sudden and violent sell-off in their shares, as if the people who own the company knew something was up and were dumping their shares in the open market. And here we are. Sinic looks at risk of missing a deadline. High-yield Chinese bond markets were being routed once again as fears of fast-spreading contagion in the $5 trillion sector, which drives a sizable chunk of the Chinese economy, continued to savage sentiment. Now, I just want to point out here, this $5 trillion sector, that's talking about the high-yield bond market. The Chinese housing market is a $52 trillion sector. So there is a lot of money at risk here. Weary investors have been holding out little hope that Evergrande would suddenly stump up Monday's near $150 million coupon payments. Again, coupon, think interest. A coupon payment is the interest due on the bond. It's not paying back the debt. They still owe the principal on the debt. This is an interest-only payment. But the fact bondholders said they hadn't received anything this time either just bolstered expectations for a full-scale default. Other signs of stress include smaller developer Modern Land asking investors to push back by 3 months a $250 million bond payment due on October 25th, in part to avoid any potential payment default. China Holdings says it too was likely to default next week as it didn't have enough financial resources to make its remaining bond payments this year. It has one at the start of next week, although that bond was already down 75%. Modern Land's April 2023 bond with a coupon of 9.8% plunged more than 25% to 32.25 cents on the day. All right, that means if you loan that company $1 at a 9.8% interest rate, right now you can sell that debt for 32.25 cents. Again, if you see, I've said this a lot of times before on this channel, if you see a 9.8% interest rate, run. That is the debt market telling you that you're not going to get your money back. All right? There is no such thing as a risk-free 10% yield on any bond, on any loan, on any DeFi crypto app, okay? If they're promising you an interest rate this high, it means they're not sure they can pay you back. Keep that in mind. Again, I want to preface this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research, your own DD, and arrive at a decision that's right for you based on your unique situation. One more thing I'll point out in this article, Kasia Group, which was the first Chinese property developer to default back in 2015, also saw some of its bonds slump to well under half their face value. R&F Properties and Greenland Holdings, which both have prestige projects in global cities in New York, London, and Sydney, were also widely sold. So again, this list of developers is getting a lot longer. Now, again, I mentioned that one of the recurring themes that we see in this story is these backdoor bailouts from the government. And here is another case of a backdoor bailout. Harbin, among first Chinese cities to announce steps to help property developers. Harbin has become one of the first cities in China to announce measures to support property developers and their projects, which have been shaken by a deepening debt crisis at the property giant China Evergrande Group. Developers should get back part of their pre-sale funds held in government escrow accounts as quickly as possible to relieve pressure on their cash flows. The government of Harbin, the capital of northeastern something I can't pronounce province, said on Sunday in a statement on its website. Developers with good credit profiles should also be allowed to re-embark on pre-sale activities as soon as they're able to. All right, there's some really important things in there, all right? First of all, they're saying developers with good credit profiles, all right? All these developers supposedly had great credit profiles a month ago, and look at them now. So you'll forgive me for laughing at the term developer with good credit profile in China, because they are all garbage, okay? That whole sector in that country is untouchable, uninvestable garbage right now. And what the city of Harbin is saying is we are going to release funds held in escrow, which are down payments that some people made on projects that aren't built yet. They are going to release those funds to the developers so they can make their bond interest payments. So the city is saying we are going to screw people who've made down payments on properties that are obviously not going to get built, that can't be finished, that are not worth what they're promised. Instead of giving those people their money back, the government is releasing those funds to the developer so they can go pay off other debts, which means those people who made those down payments are getting screwed. Screwed. They're SOL. They also said that the developers with good credit profiles can resume pre-sale activities, which means they're allowing these developers to resume their Ponzi scheme-like behavior where they take payments from people for future properties, use those payments to pay off other debts that they've already taken out, thus adding to the total mountain of debt that these developers have and adding to the number of people who are eventually going to get screwed by these companies. So what the city of Harbin is doing is they are green lighting more Ponzi scheme-like behavior. Now, there's something even worse in this article that I wanted to get to. So we got to shrink me again, and this just blew my mind when I read this. Harbin also said it will give subsidies of up to 100,000 yuan or $15,500 to talented residents with skills and qualifications looking to buy homes for the first time. The city is going to give $15,500 subsidies so people can buy first homes. All right. Now, I have mentioned several times, I've talked about these LGFVs, these local government finance vehicles. All right. The way that these local and regional governments in China have been using off-balance sheet or secret shadow bank hidden debt to finance local governments. And what they do is they create these shell companies. They put land assets into these shell companies and they sell leases on that land, i.e. debt, or they borrow against the land in order to fund the local government. And this is going on all over China, and it's estimated that there's somewhere around $11 trillion of this local government finance vehicle debt, okay? Now, just to put that in perspective, that is more than the sum of all mortgages in the United States just prior to the global financial crisis. That is how much land and real estate-based debt is in these LGFVs. So now the city of Harbin is saying we are going to take even more debt, because this is where cities get their money in China. They borrow against land. They're going to borrow against land to give subsidies to people so they can afford to pay ridiculously bloated prices for real estate and make down payments that are part of Ponzi schemes that they just said in an earlier paragraph that they're going to allow these developers to use escrow funds to pay bad debts. So they're subsidizing down payments into this Ponzi scheme, and they're subsidizing it with money that they're borrowing from against their land. Oh my God, what is going on in the city of Harbin? And the fact that they're exclusively offering these subsidies to first-time home buyers means that they are borrowing money that they have no hope of paying back in order to lure in these first-time home buyers, in order to get their life savings away from them, and they use it to bail out these developer companies. They are screwing their younger generations. And these people are paying for properties. Keep in mind, some of these properties are going for 40 years of the annual salary. So if these people are making 20% down payments on a property that cost 40 years of salary to buy, that is 8 years of their lives that is being stolen from them by these developers with the blessing and even support of their local government. These people are going to be seriously pissed off when this property market finally implodes. And again, I've said before that there's one thing the Chinese Communist Party fears. It is social unrest, civil unrest, because there is no vote the bums out in communist China. That does not exist. So when people lose faith in their government, it tends to get bloody. And we've seen that before. So folks, it seems like rather than learn their lesson or somehow try to bring reason to this market, or just accept that the collapse of the housing market in China is the inevitable outcome of decades of malinvestment and bad policy in Beijing, rather than accept the bill that is coming due, some parts in China are trying to make it worse. And they're going to succeed at that. They're going to make it worse. Again, this idea that there is no contagion risk and that it's limited to just Evergrande, it seems like every day there's another developer with billions of debt that misses another few $100 million in bond payments, and it's all adding up. All right? I'm telling you, the entire country of China right now is uninvestable. Not financial advice. You do what you want. You do your own DD and your own research. This nobody special would not touch any Chinese investment right now with a 10-foot pole. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for you on this one right now. I appreciate your time. Again, I want to thank you for watching this video. Don't forget, hit that big, beautiful thumbs up button. Subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell. Really helps me out. Helps me to keep this channel growing, and I'd be forever in your debt. Folks, in the meantime, live small and dream big.